In this video I'd like to demonstrate how to set up a game of Battlelines. In this case I'm using the Drive on Stalingrad set. So each set comes with 2 unit decks. We have the 18th Tank Corps in 1942 and we have the 9th Panzer Division also in 1942. And then we have the operations deck, which here is for Drive on Stalingrad. We have some informational text on this part of the Stalingrad campaign, and we have the operational area that we're operating in, and then some necessary game information and possible reinforcements and some recommended unit decks to use. So you don't have to use these decks if you are playing this part of the campaign, but these are 2 of the recommended ones. So how do we set up the game? We start with the instructions in the book. First you will choose an operation. Well, I've already chosen the operation, and that is the Drive on Stalingrad instead of one of the other sets. Then you determine sides. Now this game can be played multiplayer, in which case each player would need a deck. I'm playing it solitaire and as a 2-player type of game. Then you would prepare the operations deck. So you would take this and you would separate out the missions cards, which are these ones, including that one, from the I've got the reinforcements there, and the location cards. So these are Axis reinforcements and these are Soviet reinforcements. Just have a quick look at what you get in them. So you're getting a Panzerjäger battalion, and if you look down here, the number at the bottom is the value of that in victory points if it's destroyed. So the higher it is, generally the better the unit is. An anti-aircraft battalion, that's interesting. You've got an air raid from Dornier 17s, assault gun battalion, an artillery battalion, and a sapper battalion. So 15, 16, 12 points worth of units. We compare that to the Soviets. They have artillery, troops very weak, anti-tank regiment, sapper battalion, so similar, and infantry brigade. Now this is interesting. 20th Infantry Brigade, it has 4 hit possibilities. Normally troops will only have 2, possibly 3 at the highest, and sort of smaller units will only have 1. So that is a huge unit. It's worth 29 points. Some more artillery. The artillery is fairly strong. It can go up to 8. 6 is not bad. You've got aircraft strike, anti-aircraft regiment, and another huge brigade. So that is interesting that you see the different sort of qualities of the reinforcements available to either side. Now we don't need these informational cards, except we need that reinforcement chart to go with those. There would be reference cards in that deck which just reference what different parts of the other cards do. I've already removed those. So we now prepare for what is called a mission within this operation. First of all, we take the mission cards and we shuffle them, and then if you have a multiplayer game, you will say if it's 2-player you draw 1, if it's 4-player 2, and if it's 3-player 3, and then you see what missions you have, and if necessary you will link them like this. You see each of these is a location, and these are the connecting lines, so you can see certain baselines and certain interim locations are connecting in that case. Now, for the sake of this video, it doesn't really matter what, but I'm going to be playing a game of this later. So it's the smallest mission there is. I randomly drew it earlier and played it out, and it is very tense and tight. So anyway, that's the mission which we're going to play. Now, in any operation, you are playing up to 100 victory points, which is generally going to take 2 or 3 missions. So this is the first mission in the operation. Now what we have to do is find the required location cards. So looking at the text, we can see that the objective is Karpovskia and the base is Hill 619. So we go to the location cards and we search for those. Have them near the top there. So we got Hill 619 and Karpovskia. Then we will place them on the table, somewhat like so. So if I'm having the defender has the card this way. So if the Russians are defending, which they are, and the Germans are attacking, cards will go something like that. And then we have to pick the rest of the location cards. They are just determined randomly from the rest of the location deck. So we need 3 more locations, and we situate them on the table according to the diagram on your mission card. These ones in red belong to the Soviet side, so that they're turned around for the defending defender, and then this one here belongs to the German, which goes in front of his base. Now you can see how these connect. So this connects to that, and then this one, which is that blue one, connects across to there and across to there, and then they connect back to here. So the German has to go through one of these avenues to get to his objective. These locations also connect across, which is going to be useful for possible counterattacks or reinforcements on the Soviet side. We keep this reference card on the table throughout the game just to remind us how the connections are. That is necessary because some missions you see it's quite complicated how they connect to each other. See, there's some locations you might think connected aren't. For example, these are all historically named, so I don't know how they figured out the connections. Maybe it was based on the actual battles, but what I find it gives is the sense of, okay, this is like a broad battle on quite a wide front. The battle for Karpovskia was on a very narrow front, so it's very tight. So for each mission you get a very different flavour, and not only the replayability in the sense is high in the sense that, okay, you've got lots of missions. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 missions. But also each time, although the base and the objective and the base will be the same, these ones are random, so you have different terrain in between. The cards show different protection and cover factors, and also certain costs. So that will vary from each time you play each mission. Okay, so we've set up the basic, the terrain on which is going to be fought. There's always an objective and there's always a base. And in this set, the base is always Axis, and it's the objective is always Soviet because the Axis are moving this way, trying to move towards Stalingrad. It would be different in the other sets. I haven't played enough of them to state definitively, but you can imagine in Stalingrad sometimes the Soviets will be at a base trying to get a German objective and vice versa. Now it's at this point that you select your unit deck. So you've got the 9th Panzer Division. You might say, well, if you're playing the whole campaign, you might say, I want to save this for Stalingrad. I'm going to use the Romanian division, which is in another set, in the drive. So that is possible, but otherwise I'm just going with the set as is. So we choose our unit decks, and then at this point you can also, if you have an upper echelon deck, choose to add in cards or not, and that is done in this fashion. So each unit deck has this informational text. You can see hand minimum and maximum, the troop quality and the service state. Then it has the cards in the deck, the number of each card in the deck, and in brackets after that is at the minimum or maximum. So effectively what that means is, so there's 17 action cards in this deck. I could add 3 more, or I could take 5 out, and there's arguments for going either way. What I've just done is maxed both of them out, so I've added the maximum from their upper echelon commands, which in this case is the I used the 4th Panzer here and the Southwest Front here. So that's added I think 17 cards in each. They started out at 55 cards, so that's brought the deck up quite high. You could go as low as, I think it's 42 cards. Then the argument for having a low deck is that the mission ends once a deck has run out, so you might want to trim your deck as a defender, hoping that the mission's going to end before your opponent has taken his objective, your baseline. Another argument would be you might want to trim your deck because then you're more likely to get to cards that you want. You don't have sort of extra bloat, so you're sort of 3 or 4 vital strike cards or whatever that you put in your deck are lost amongst a huge bunch of things. So there's that kind of consideration to make. Then on the other side is obviously the more cards you can add in, the more options you get. So the 9th Panzer Division is a strong division, but you can add in extra artilleries, extra strikes, extra tactics cards, and make it even more, give you even more options and abilities, and same with the defender. So there's arguments either way, and as I said, I just filled them both out to the maximum. And now we come to a crucial bit, which is where you decide your formations. So on the mission, you can see for the Axis it says choose 4 formation cards, and for the Soviets it says choose 4 formation cards too, and you notice opponent randomly discards 1. Now don't worry too much about that at the moment. Now it's a little bit tiresome, but it's just a function of the game. What you have to do is you have the formation cards here are blue for the Axis, and this kind of yellowy tan colour for the Soviets. So you go through the whole deck. You might have done this already before, and you pick out all the formations in it, no attachments or anything. So you go through like that, and then you choose what you want. I mean, you can just shuffle through if you know what you're looking for,